And Jamie, thank you so much. We are recording this, so we will be able to share this event after we are completed. So we have Brandon from Complete College America, 2 feet of snow in Colorado. Wow, thanks, Brandon. Welcome. So if other folks can just add your name and who you're affiliated with. Great. Growing Inland Achievement, our friends down in Inland Empire. Shasta County Office of Ed, welcome, well represented. We got Modoc in the house, Tehima. Kelly from McConnell makes this all possible, thank you. Brad, College Options. 11 inches Lake Shastina, wow, thanks for getting here. Trinity Together, welcome in the house, welcome. CSU Chico, great. Wonderful. Hi, Kathy. Wow, we're amongst friends here. This is so exciting. And thank you for our Shasta College reps. My name is Kate Mahar, and we are going to have a really fun, probably very quick hour. Jamie or Jennifer, do you want to share the PowerPoint? Great. Can everybody see that?
We're seeing the presenters mode, so we can see the notes in the upcoming slide as well, if
okay,
you care.
Well, great. As Jennifer works on that, I'll just welcome everybody into the room, into this space. We're so excited to have some collective brains around this work. We want to start off by thanking Shasta College for being such a support of our programs, and North State Together also that made this possible. So as many of you know, North State Together is a regional collaborative in the 5 counties working on issues of cradle to career, the 5 counties in far Northern California. And part of what we try to do with North State Together, I just made myself a we there, is work with counties to figure out what works locally and figure out how we can share some of that information across other communities that are trying to do similar things. Next slide, please, Jennifer. So one of the exciting things that is happening, it came out of the great work of North State Together, of our Lumina Talent Hub, and we are also very proud to receive 3 different innovation awards. And through the leadership of Joe Weiss, we recognized that it was really up to us to do good work with that support and to figure out how we can share some of the things that we learned and really create a space where we can talk about things that we're trying to do, learn from each other, share what we have in a really informal way. We're all practitioners, we're all at the ground level, and really how do we dig in and maximize what we can do together. So SCAILE, the Shasta College Attainment and Innovation Lab for Equity, is a project that has evolved from the work of North State Together, Lumina, and the Innovation Awards at Shasta College, and will allow us to support innovation, attainment, and equity in our backyard and beyond. So from MODOC to Complete College America, we're trying to create a community where we can work together to make a difference for individuals and communities. Next slide, Jennifer, please. So the goal of SCAILE is to create a place where policy, practice, inquiry, and applied research are integrated to foster innovation and educational attainment and the reduction of equity gaps with a spotlight on the changing dynamics of rural communities. And when we talk about the changing dynamics of rural communities, we're really trying to recognize that what works in an urban setting may or may not work in rural. There are key things we can learn from each other, but really to create a voice for the rural communities. One of the most amazing things I think that North State Together has done is bring communities together and create a collective voice. Where sometimes our communities are small, we might be overlooked. When we join together, we really create a powerful voice for both policy and practice. So thanks to North State Together, and thanks to Jamie for organizing this. Next slide, please. Great. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Fox. And Jennifer Fox has done a fantastic job of researching some of the special programs that we've been implementing at Shasta College. In between each of the programs that she presents, we'll have a time for question and answer. And Damaris and Liz Cohn and Janet, if you can all wave. They're point people on these programs, so we'll be able to dig in and ask them a lot of questions. What's exciting is College of the SCAILE is also part of Degrees Due, and they also have a strong dual enrollment, and they also have a version of the ACE program. So if you're in the counties that are served by College of the SCAILE, this applies to you as well. So we are going to learn about the programs, talk them through, and then we're going to have a chance to think about what's working, what's not, what resonated, and is this something we can bring back to our communities? And if so, how would we do that? So Jennifer Fox, thank you so much, and on to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Fox. I'm the Interim Director of Institutional Research at Shasta College, and this is the third of 3 reports that we put together for the Board of Trustees around equity. It was a full report written out. All 3 reports, they are available on our website. And then this PowerPoint will be summarizing what was in that report. The first report that we did for this series was on various equity groups and their success. The second report was on career and technical programs. And then this third report is looking at some of those special programs that we offer for various populations. Now, these programs, as Kate said, are not unique to Shasta College, and also they would not be successful without community involvement. Here we go. Keyboard shortcuts aren't the same. There we are. So students are attending community colleges, of course, for various reasons, but the primary purpose is to earn a certificate or degree. And research shows that students who have completed degrees have higher wages as well as improved health outcomes. And so colleges are offering various programs to help students achieve these goals. And the ones that we're looking at today are the Dual Enrollment Program, which works with high school students, ACE, which works with adult learners, and then Degrees When Due, which is focused on stopped-out students. All of these programs target different populations, and all are succeeding. The first program is Dual Enrollment, and as I said, that is for high school students. And high school students have the opportunity to enroll as a special admit in the community college system and earn college credit while still in high school. Some colleges, such as Shasta College, offer college credit for classes that they take at their high school. The courses and instructors have been pre-approved by the college, and students earn credit for both high school and college in the same course. And that's basically a description of what the Dual Enrollment Program is. For this report, we've examined how many of these students enroll in college after participating in a dual enrollment class, presumably after college or after high school graduation, and how well they do in college in comparison to their peers. So this isn't focusing on the outcomes while they were in high school, but then so much as after they've graduated and are attending college. This program has grown quite a bit over the last several years. Like many dual enrollment programs across the country, this is gaining popularity. We started in 2013 with just a few students. In 2015-16, there were 11 high schools and over 1,400 enrollments. And in 1920, the number of high schools increased to 17, and we had 1,000 additional enrollments from that over that 4-year period. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a report was part of a series examining equity outcomes, and so looking to see what population that this program is reaching. We see that there are 5 5 high schools that are in what are designated as opportunity zones, and those are described as an economically distressed community according to the EDA. And we have a little over a quarter of the students in one of those 5 high schools in the most recent academic year. Now, we did not record what year students were in high school when they were taking the dual enrollment course. And as such, we don't know exactly when to anticipate them at Shasta College. But assuming that most of them were either juniors or seniors in high school when they took their DE class, I calculated a Shasta College going rate for a 2-year period. And that averaged around 20–25%. And you can see that in these figures here, Shasta High and Anderson, these were at the higher rate. This is just for the most recent year. These are students who would have been in a DE class in 17–18 and appeared at Shasta College by 19–20. So those 2 high schools have a 20% rate. Corning had less than 2%. Location's going to have a factor on that. And then Enterprise was at 11. And this has varied over the years as well as by high school. And so some of these numbers have decreased over time, such as the Enterprise one. As some of the student population has increased, the number of students that we've been able to capture going to Shasta afterwards have declined. And that's kind of a to be expected figure. But moving forward, we will be collecting this information in a new electronic format, allowing us to know what year students are in high school and be able to make more accurate calculations moving forward. One of the benefits of the pandemic and going electronic with everything. So first-time students are those who enroll at college for the first time after high school graduation. So even though dual enrollment students have attended Shasta College before, they're still considered first-time freshmen after they graduate high school. And these students, the first-time freshman students, are put into cohorts by academic year, and success rates are measured based on their cohort year. So of the first-time freshman students who began in 2019–20, we had about a quarter who were former dual enrollment students. And their first-year success metrics were significantly higher. Now what these are, there's 2 types of metrics that are being used to measure student success: leading indicators and lagging indicators. First-year success metrics are leading indicators for completion. Students who do well in these first-year metrics are more likely to also persist to graduation and or to transfer. Students who participated in a dual enrollment class were more likely to have higher first-year rates in these benchmarks than their peers. And those are the first 4 calculations here. The 30+ units, transfer English and transfer math completed, or both, by their first year. So the students who completed transfer English and transfer math, or the credits that they earned while in high school, are also included in these calculations. And you can see that the numbers are more than double for just about every single one of those calculations. And then the last calculation here is fall to spring persistence. So those who enrolled in fall also enrolled in spring, and that number is higher. I do want to point out that this is for the most recent year, 19–20, and that is when the pandemic hit. And so students were given the opportunity in spring to take EW grades, which stands for emergency withdrawal. This was something that was available across the state, and a lot of students took advantage of that. The 20% of the not previously dual enrollment students who completed 30 units, that was down 15% from the previous year. However, for dual enrollment students, that was only a 9% decline. So those students, you can see, were more likely to have met that and persisted, similar to the persistence rates there. So these figures should show that for completion rates, those numbers are also higher, and they are. We can see that the rates for degree completion and for transfer are near double for the students who were former dual enrollment. Additionally, the students who were in dual enrollment and in these equity groups that are listed here had degree completion rates that were the same as the other students, all the students who are dual enrollment. And so while in some of these equity groups, they had lower degree completion rates outside of DE, within it's been the same. So that you can see that the dual enrollment program is helping all students and providing that advantage for everyone. Are there any questions on the dual enrollment?
Jennifer, I see one question in the chat box from Kelly Salter, and she asks, do you have the ability through Clearinghouse to track how many of these dual enrollment students go on to any college compared to students who did not dual enroll?
That is a good question, and that is something that I've been starting to look at this last week. We have not looked at that, but yes, I do believe that we should have the ability to track that information. And so that will be something that we'll hopefully be able to do in the future, this next year.
Are there any other questions? Anything you'd like to ask of Damara Stevens, who leads this program?
I don't know if it's a question as so much a comment, but it would be really interesting to know what sort of students are enrolling in dual enrollment courses in general, because I'm going to imagine that they're going to be our sort of higher caliber students in general, right? Because it's going to be a more difficult course. It takes a lot of work to actually just get dual enrolled and jump through those hoops. So I'd be interested to know if they're just students that are kind of some of those ready for college students, or if it's really kind of the dual enrollment course that's helping them to persist.
Yes, unfortunately, as a college, we don't have a lot of those high school indicators. The amount of information that we're gathering from those students has been increasing. So hopefully in the future, we can at least be able to look at perhaps high school GPAs to see if that would be a good indication of that, what you just said.
I wonder, Damaris, do you have any kind of overall insight with what you're seeing, just because you have more
I have
personal contact? Yeah.
I have anecdotal evidence that shows that a lot of the students that participate are participating in CTE type courses, which aren't transfer level. We do about half and half. And in those CTE courses, yes, it's difficult to get dual enrolled, but that's why we train our teachers to help the students through it. And we have a dedicated person that's helps students through the registration process and the application process to jump through those hoops and get through that. And we also see a lot of students that maybe didn't think that they were college material, took say a Word or Excel class at the college level, which seems really elementary, but it gave them the confidence to kind of continue and then take further classes, maybe look at raising their math grade so they could take a math class at the high school. So we do see that.
Great question, Tekla. We are so focused on using this program as a tool for equity. So making sure that there is equitable access to the courses would be a key priority. And I know that it has been in our program development, and now we'll really try to dive into the data to make sure that we're doing what we set out to do. So thank you for bringing that up. And thank you, Damaris and team, for incredible work plugging away and building this program.
Okay. There. The next program that we're going to look at is the ACE program. ACE stands for Accelerated College Education. And this program targets adult students primarily with some college and no degree. So adult students are considered those 25 years of age and older, and that is who that is the population that the program is reaching. 83% fall into that age category. In addition, there is a high percentage of low-income students and first-generation students in the ACE program. Both of these percentages are higher than our overall campus rates. So the way that the ACE program works is that there are 8-week classes, primarily online. Students will take 2 courses, have 1 week off, and then take another 2 courses, allowing them to take 4 courses within the same semester and be enrolled full-time. We only have about a third of our students enrolled full-time on a overall, and so this gives students an opportunity to get those credits that they might not otherwise have. In addition to the online course format or the short course format, these students have one point of contact for academic counseling, financial aid, etc. And so they're also provided a set schedule to follow that's going to allow them to complete the program within that given time frame. The ACE program has grown quite a bit within the last 3 years. Enrollment has tripled. It began in 2017-18 and it's reached nearly 950 course enrollments in the last academic year. The course success rates for students in the program are well above the institutional average of 73% at 82% for all courses, or all ACE courses. So ACE students in ACE courses are at 82%. However, not only ACE students are allowed to enroll in the ACE courses, and so we have had a growth of additional 8-week courses as a result. Those courses have filled quickly. And so ACE students also are allowed to enroll in non-ACE courses. So we have about 77% of success rate in other 8-week courses that are not part of the ACE program. So it looks like the ACE program is having a good effect in both the format and in the support services that it offers. But we can see also that the course format also contributes to student success. It's a lot of different ways to slice and dice the data there. Additionally, one of the goals for ACE is degree attainment, and they are succeeding. They've graduated over 60 students in each of the last 2 academic years. So again, looking at the equity outcomes and all those different ways that the courses are being offered, we see that Native American students did significantly better in ACE courses than in all courses and significantly better than in other 8-week courses. They had an 82% success rate, which was the same as the overall population. The Black African American students did significantly better in ACE courses than in all courses. There wasn't a significant difference, although it is slightly higher than other 8-week courses. However, we did do some additional investigation, and this was a growing population, but yet a small population when it came to the number of students. And in the spring of last year, we had a lot of EW grades. The state does exclude EW grades from their success calculations, and when we do that, we do also get that 82% for our ACE course success for the Black African American population. Are there any questions about the ACE program?
And when we think about ACE, you know, Brandon, glad you're on the phone. Complete College America and a lot of other programs really talk about the importance of targeting programs for our working adults and for students that are balancing additional family responsibilities such as parents. So our ACE program was designed to recognize that we have students that have multiple responsibilities. And so we looked at pathways and built pathways that could be guaranteed to get the students through to completion in a consistent way. We talked a lot to students that were having trouble with childcare because the schedule each semester often changed. So ACE offers predictable schedules so students can balance parenting and work responsibilities. And in addition, there's so many great services that our community college system offers, but so often you have to be full-time to do that. So if an adult is trying to go to college part-time, not only does it take a really long time, but they don't get access to some of the other great support programs that could see them through. So this design allows folks to go full-time, get to their goal more completely, more quickly. They have less options within their pathways, but they know their pathways are set. And then that single point of contact and that case management piece allows the students to be able to really focus on their coursework, especially if they traditionally if they're working till 5, but our offices close at 5. So with that, I want to talk to Janet because she is the heart and soul of ACE, and she's been acting. She was an ACE student herself, and is that single point of contact for ACE. So Janet, can you talk a little bit about what you found and what you think, what about this program really helps the students that you serve?
So it really helps our students because most of them, as we all know, just enrolling in college again can be scary. So they don't know where to start. They don't know who to contact, what forms to fill out for financial aid, what application just to fill out for enrolling in Shasta College. So a lot of these students, when we first get to them, they're just lost. They don't know what to do. And we give them a step-by-step, okay, we're going to set you up with a counselor. So we give them that confidence and they can do it. We give them that set schedule. We kind of get, we take all this paperwork that's been thrown at them and we organize it for them and give them a step-by-step of what you need to do to come back, to get your degree. So it's not as overwhelming, and students really appreciate that. Anytime they have any questions, our office is open a little bit later. As you mentioned, most of them do work the 8 to 5 schedule. Our office is open till 6, sometimes 7 o'clock at night, depending on the day. So we make ourselves very available to students. We have a dedicated counselor for them. Any question they have, they can usually get in to see our counselor within a 24-hour period. So anybody who would, has a question because their midterm is coming up, or maybe they need to situation has changed at home and they need to change their schedule, they can get in with Rebecca, our counselor, within 24 hours and get that squared away. So we really give students a peace of mind, and with their hectic schedule, that at this point, that is more than enough support for them, because they know that, if they have a question, they can always reach out to us and we will either give them the answer or provide them someone directly to go to get those answers.
One of the other things that Janet and the team does, Tina and just a fabulous team, is they work with the students. So one of the challenges of a traditional 17-week semester is if you get most of the way through, but life gets in the way, then you don't have anything to show for all that work. But with 8-week courses, people can balance that with what life throws at them. And even if they have to take a break for 8 weeks, Janet and the team make sure that they can just get right back in as soon as they are able to. So if you picture 2 trains going down the track with 8-week segments, if they have to step off the train, then they know that they can get right back on when that works for them. So if anyone's ever around when we are allowed to be back on campus, it is quite a joy to go into the ACE office and see faculty coming in and out and students coming in and out. So Janet, thank you so much. And are there questions from anyone else on the call about the ACE program?
Yeah, Kate, in the chat box, we have Sorrel from Growing Inland Achievement, which is our North State Together sister partner down south who does similar work, and they're very interested in ACE and dual enrollment. One of the questions that she has is how, and I'm going to ask it a little bit different way, how did you recruit ACE students and how did they find you? But I'd like to hear from Kate the answer to that in the very beginning when it was brand new, and then Janet, maybe you could take some strategies of how that's occurring now that you're a few years in.
Thanks. What a great question. It was really interesting when we were talking about this program. And again, this is just great leadership at Shasta College that recognized Joe, Kevin, Ever, all on the call, Marianne. We recognize in our communities, 1 out of every 3 adults has some college and no degree. Statewide and nationally, that's 1 out of 5. But in our region, 1 out of 3 folks have started and weren't able to stay in school to completion for a variety of reasons. So we really wanted to build something that served this population. And what was interesting is when we first opened it up, we weren't sure what this was going to mean. And we were hoping that we could get about 20 people when we first started thinking about ACE. Liz Cohn was instrumental in creating that program. We did a call out for this program hoping we'd get at least 20, and there was about 120 folks that came. So we recognized that we had met a need that existed. And then so letting people know that opportunity was there was really all we had to do up front. And then we had great partners, Kathy Garcia at the Job Training Center, that recognized people that were working with this population that kept cycling people back into the program. Since the launch of ACE, we've also done quite a bit of research around marketing for adults. And this is not just, our challenge, it's statewide and actually nationwide. Complete College America has been a great resource on that. And a lot of the research says that returning adults want to see people that look like them. They want to see that we have thought about the fact that they're juggling family, that they're juggling work, and then it's not business as usual. Oregon has a great toolkit on reaching out to adults, and California is working on one, so I can definitely send that out to you, Sorrel. But one of my favorite programs is Detroit, the Warrior Way Back. And they did a lot of work on marketing to recognize, especially the population that had some college and no degree. And what their messaging was is, we've changed, so have you, come on back and finish. So we look different now. We are not the program that maybe you started and it didn't work for you. We know that you've changed. You've got, a lot more experience, and you might have a better sense of really what that degree you want to earn. So we've changed, so have you, come on back. And I just love that concept, because it's what we really tried to do as well. I'd be happy to send you those toolkits, Sorrel, along. I'll get them to Jamie with a lot of that research on how you reach out to that particular population.
As far as what we're doing currently, it's actually, it's one of those programs, as Kate was mentioned, that it's almost like a community of, people want to feel comfortable with others who look like them, who do, who are going back to school. And so most of the students that come to us come through a family member, a friend who's been in through ACE, who's completed ACE. And a lot of our students are through word of mouth, just because they've had a great experience. They were able to complete their degree. Then maybe they're talking to a friend, and conversations start. So most of our students actually come from word of mouth. The other one is, as a campus, we work together. So all of our general counselors, when they meet with students, they know if maybe they have a student who they're in conversation, they find out they're a returning adult, they have children or other responsibilities, then we get a lot of referrals from general counseling as well. Currently, we have our, just our regular marketing flyers on social media. Sometimes we get some radio announcements, but we've actually been keeping pretty busy with just word of mouth, students being referred to our program. Just recently in the fall, we're going to include the health information technology program is going to be joining ACE. So we're going to start having to do a little more recruiting with that program, because it's going to be a slightly different population than what we're normally used to working with. But we're exploring a couple of recruiting pathways to see, kind of just feeling out to see what's going to work best for the new program that's joining ACE, as well as our current ACE students.
One of the fun things that we're working on as well right now is actually training faculty on strategies to, when you have adults in your classroom that have a lot of work and life experience, how can you set up your curriculum different? There's a lot of research around adult learners. They like things to be very practical and hands-on, and they also need it to be connected to the accomplishments that they've had in their own life versus just sort of a hypothetical. They want to be able to take the information and apply it, and the richness that can come from that conversations when it's set up well is really, really exciting. So we're working on that as well. But we can't underestimate how important Janet is, because you pick up the phone and you've got a person that says, you know what, I started school and I wasn't able to complete. ACE helped me through. What do you need? I gotcha. So however we can replicate that, or at least hold that in our heads as we think about what makes these programs special. Tekla, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I was interrupting. I just didn't want you to move on to the next thing before. Hey, over in Trinity County, we know from some like preliminary kinds of research that we have a lot of parents who have, some college and haven't followed through and that kind of thing. But in Trinity County, I think it'd be real difficult for folks to attend in person on a rigorous schedule like that over in Shasta County. So I'm wondering how you guys have set up for some of those satellite kind of sites. Is it online? Do you have that kind of some online, some in person? Like how is that looking for some of our outlying areas?
So for most of the ACE classes are actually online. We had a couple of courses following the psychology pathway that were still a hybrid, meaning the students would meet in person on campus twice a week. We do have the set schedule. It was always Tuesday, Thursdays, or Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. But with the pandemic coming, as we all know, everything went online.
Right.
So most likely, even if we were to go back to campus at this point, we would have 100% instruction on every single one of our pathways. And that really helps students because there is that flexibility. There is no synchronous video conference Zooming. It's, you know, there is due dates, but students go at their own pace. So if they maybe have childcare available for 2 or 3 hours a day, then that child would go to daycare. And then most of our students, that's their time to do schoolwork. So as of right now, we're looking at 100% enrollment or 100% ACE courses.
Awesome. And then like a follow-up question is, are there any caps on numbers for student enrollment for that?
There is not.
Awesome. Super cool.
Yeah, no, right now we're holding about 176 students that are currently enrolled. Prior to the pandemic, we were around 200 to 210. We obviously, you know, with pandemic, we did have some students that had to readjust, but our numbers are slowly climbing. So we hope to be back to by fall of 2021, be back to at least 200 students in the program.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We're also working on a return of investment because the support program is high touch and the case management, it's a different type of model, but the completions, there is a return of investment there, and we want to do some research on that so we can really make the case that this model is not only really important for students, but it is cost effective in the long run.
On your on the ACE on the website or wherever I would go to, does it sort of list the pathways that are available? I'm interested in. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Janet.
Real quick, before Jennifer moves on, there was a question from Brianna in the chat box. Just asking about, from a data perspective and the equity outcomes in the ACE program, was any qualitative measure taken into account, like that some older students are often, and she says, more focused on their education, if that was taken into account at all when you were looking at? I have a feeling I know the answer, Jennifer, but if you want to just state it.
I did not disaggregate by more than one demographic for those figures. But, you know, the age group here, we do have, you know, most of them being in that older category. So I don't know how many students it would have actually captured had I done so.
Yeah, and Jamie, just to add on, the kind of my interest in that question is when we're looking at how the program serves equity populations, does the data then show that it's serving that specific equity population because of, you know, an equity population that might be defined by race or ethnicity, or is it because these students are older that they're kind of successful in that realm, if that makes sense?
It's been really interesting working with this program because when we were first thinking about the program, we were talking about how to get folks services and how to give people support. And when we talked to students that came to that initial meeting, what they really needed was to have the courses available at a time that they could access them, and to get to support, they needed to get in those courses, and to have a set schedule so they could plan ahead and know when those courses were. So it's really interesting how much the modality of the structure was what folks needed, and then who was attracted to that. So in some cases, we were surprised at first because we were reaching out to different populations because it was available to them versus targeted outreach to that population. So, and we've since adjusted that with that, but it was really interesting how many folks said, nope, I just needed the courses offered when they are and how they are, and I just needed that support. So I understand. That's a great question, Brianna. And I know that Janet and Tina and the team have survey questions where they can constantly follow up the students to get more information. But we can definitely think that through and send you a response to your question.
I do have data that looks at success rates by student age for overall. I don't know those numbers offhand though, but from what I do remember, I don't remember noticing that there was that level of difference between that population. So it's definitely the format that has helped, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
Okay. The last program that we're going to look at is Degrees When Due, and this has a little bit of a link to some of the other stuff that we've been talking about. These are going to have some, this basically is the Some College No Degree population. The Degrees When Due program is a program that's being implemented at colleges and universities across the country. It has multiple components, but the focus of the data here is from the degree audits that were conducted as part of the adult re-engagement program component. The first step that we did was create a list of students who were no longer enrolled, but had completed at least 45 units, general education courses of English, math, communication, and who had at least a 2.0 GPA. Also, we looked at if they had transferred somewhere else and if they had completed a degree after transferring. We did not include those students. A multi-year group was examined, and from this list, which was hundreds of students, those who had completed at least 60 units were separated out, and degree audits were conducted to determine if a student had earned a degree but not applied for the degree. At that time, only those who submit an application for degree were evaluated to see if they met the criteria for the degree that they applied for. So this effort included looking not only at the program the student had declared, but also a manual review of course completions and degree audits to determine if a student may have met the requirements for a different program. And this effort was very successful. We had over 40% of the students evaluated earning at least one degree for a total of 258 awards. Some students earned as many as 3 degrees. Now, part of this work, we found that there were needs for both policy and processes or procedural changes. During the during the evaluation process, some barriers were revealed. Of those evaluated, 13% were only missing computer literacy, which is a local degree requirement. And so as a result, the Academic Senate removed this requirement, allowing these students to earn their degree. Procedurally, this work is continuing in an ongoing basis. As the name suggests, Degrees When Due seeks to award those students who earned their degree when they complete it. And so now after degree audits are conducted on students who submit an application, those who do not earn the degree that they applied for are evaluated to see if they might have completed a different program. And then these students are given the opportunity to be awarded that alternative degree. Additionally, stop outs are now identified each year to be evaluated. In the future, we hope to automate the degree process because right now all this is a manual evaluation of all the students and the courses. So in addition to that, one of the first steps that we did, I said that we had looked at where students might have transferred to. And so we found that for students who were Black or African American, they were more likely than other ethnic groups to attend a different college. Now, when we talk about a transfer rate, we're talking about the rate of students who go to a 4-year university or college after leaving the community college. So this is looking at those who transferred to a 2-year or a 4-year school. So it's different from that rate. And we found that that rate was higher. And so this actually coincides with a finding from an earlier report that we did that said that this population was more likely to be out of state. And typically out of state students are less likely to persist at a college. And so this was corresponded with that. We have not yet done additional research to find out what is going on with that population and as to why. Now, let's see. That's degrees been due. One of the things I do want to mention too, the adult re-engagement, the idea of that is so that students could then come back to college, those who did not finish a degree. And that is where we linked actually with the ACE program that was offered to a lot of students who might be able to finish their degree that way. And we did have a few enrollments as a result.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I just, Matt Belaine, who's a fabulous team member, was the person that actually got to call students to say, hey, guess what? Did you know you had earned this degree? Would you like it? And just such powerful stories of our students, many of whom were carrying quite a burden on their shoulders because they felt like they didn't complete something they set out to do. So inviting them back to receive the degree really made a difference for folks, and just the message of, we're really seeking to improve at Shasta College to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. And in the meantime, you've earned this degree. It's something you should be really proud of. And that exchange is just really powerful on both sides. What can we learn? And then also, how can we share that good news with students? And Liz, I see you on the phone. Do you want to add anything? Liz Cohn is our point person that shepherded this group and got folks from around the campus to look at our data and really try to figure out what's going on, what are some of the common threads, and what are some changes that we can make. And I also want to point out that Megan Witherall up at College of the Siskiyous is doing a parallel process up there with a lot of great success as well. Liz, did you want to add anything?
I think Jennifer pretty much nailed it, but I would just like to say hi, and it's good to see all your faces. And I guess one other thing that I just want to say is that it's been really neat to see how our campus came together and really evaluated what we're doing, how we can make it better, and then how can we embed this work from this initiative into our everyday work and into our annual calendar, so we don't lose these students and we do get them degrees when they're ready for them. And I don't know, I guess that's all I wanted to add, is just that it's just become part of what we do. And I think just having that data behind it just really helped everyone on campus come together and make it happen.
Yeah, that was quite a aha for all of us when we realized, looking back for the last 5 years, that we had lost over 4,000 students that had 45 units or more. So recognizing the urgency there and then dissecting what are those trends has really been powerful for our campus community, and that mirrors a lot of the work that's happening nationally as well. Sorrel, and for some of our other California partners, there's actually 29 colleges in California that are doing the Degrees When Due work right now, and it's fun to learn from each other as we all find common patterns. And then when you think about the collective good of what we're doing for students to get them their degrees, it's just a really exciting thing to be a part of. So thanks to Liz and for all those people that herded the cats to make that happen. And also, it's just such a nice tie back to ACE, because when we recognize that folks maybe are missing one class or two, we can now say, call ACE. That class, you can get this done in 8 weeks. You can get your degree by New Year's. So it's a nice full circle.
Do you think that, I know that like financial aid would probably be applicable to this population, but do you think if that first 2 years, for free were sort of applicable to some of these are people who've already entered and exited, right? So they're not going to be able to get that first 2 years for free, but do you think that sort of extending that to that population would help with enrollment at all? Not that it sounds like you need help with the enrollment, but I don't know if a financial piece would be even sweeter.
Janet, I think one of the things that you're great at and your team is great at is letting folks know what resources are available to them when they return. So it might not be College Promise, but having that coaching is helpful. Do you want to talk about that, Janet?
Yeah, so for most of our students, 95 to, about 95% of our students qualify for some type of financial aid, whether it be the California College Promise Grant, Pell Grant, Cal Grant. We have very few students that come to ACE that don't qualify for any financial aid. And out of those students, we've had probably 3 students that qualify for the 2-year free tuition. But as I said, most of our students are they're returning, and one of their main reasons for returning is because they're trying to seek a promotion at work, trying to, maybe have a career change. So they do all qualify for financial aid. We have, especially right now, a lot of grants available to students. When we were back on campus, we do offer book lending to students to minimize the cost of books and materials. So as far as for our students, I don't recall having a single student that came to us and decided not to return, whether with ACE or just as a Shasta College student due to financial reasons. We've always been able to either provide some kind of grants or provide other alternatives of financial aid for students.
And
Awesome.
Brandon, I see your question in the chat. Is ACE designated to certain programs? The way Shasta College did it, and also College of the Siskiyous, was really looking at the student transcripts sort of individually, which takes a lot longer, but it does allow all programs to be considered. When you look nationally, some of the other ways that the bigger colleges have handled it would be to pick a very common degree and then do a degree audit to that degree. So different colleges have approached that very differently. But College of Siskiyous and Shasta College, whatever program we have it's not program specific. Any other thoughts or questions on degrees when due?
I just mentioned that change. The computer literacy was a local requirement. It wasn't like a transfer requirement or a statewide requirement of any kind.
Yeah, and having that data in our hand was what allowed us to make those decisions, because we were able to bring that to Academic Senate and having that data with real time and relevant, and students that they knew really made a difference. And from that, we were able to react positively for not only previous students, but students moving forward. Great.
So our summary is that every program is succeeding in doing what they are setting out to do. The dual enrollment program, reaching pre-college students, is increasing the early indicators for completion as well as the corresponding completion rates. The ACE program, reaching adult first generation low-income students, is increasing course success rates and graduating over 60 students a year. And Degrees When Due, reaching stopped out, has granted 258 awards in its initial evaluation and removed barriers for completion.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I mean, just such great work. And I love how you not only can really crunch this complicated data, but make it so easy to understand, and then also make it actionable. I always feel like after I listen to you, I get to okay, we can do some stuff with this information, which leads us to our final slide. We don't have a lot of time to process, but we're just really curious what resonated with you in the presentation. What do you think could be replicated in your community? Tekla had some great ideas about how to bring ACE to Trinity. Are there things that you said, you know what, we can do that? From where you sit, is there something that you can take from this information to bring back to your communities? And if so, what are the action steps needed? So we just wanted to give folks, a minute or two to reflect on these, and people can either put some thoughts in the chat, or if they want to share those with the group, we have a few minutes to be able to process some of this information. Any brave souls?
Hey, this is Kathy Garcia. Can you hear me?
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, one thing that comes to mind, it seems like we've been in crisis mode for so long, just, trying to put fires out left and right. And this just reminds me of, like the core solid work that we also have to remember to do to get back. It feels sort of normal, which is really nice. We have to keep promoting those messages of going back and, sometimes walking that walk a little bit with people so they get over the fear. But everything has been around so much crisis oriented stuff that it's nice just to have a conversation around something that's foundational and effective and needed. And I'm like, okay, I have to go back and I need to back things up a year and remember where we were and get back to some of those good solid messages getting back out there too.
Thank you, Kathy. That's such a great thought. And what's neat is despite the COVID-19 crises, these programs stayed solid and really did prove to be a tool that will be able to support our students as we transition out of COVID-19. So thank you so much for bringing that into the room. It's a great way to sort of wrap up the event. Jennifer, would you mind sharing the next slide? So we just want to thank you. The purpose of North State Together is to build these relationships so this work can happen on the ground and create a space that we can all learn from each other. One of the main purposes of North State Together. And SCAILE is really going to try to work alongside you to be able to support some of the research and share some of the information and figure out what type of work that we can do together to really move the needle on so many of our important populations. And Jennifer Fox, having you and your skills supporting both North State Together and working with Jamie and James, and then to be able to do great work at Shasta College that we can highlight. We're just so grateful for this team. So if anyone has any questions, either as you think about this work or as Jamie sends out the recording, we're all here for you. We want to figure this out together. So with that, Jamie or Jennifer or even Joe or Kevin, any comments from folks?
No comments here except thank you. It was wonderful.
All right,
Same
thank
here
you,
for me.
everyone.
This is
Happy
Kevin.
Monday.
Just want to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I cut you off, Kevin. Did you want to? Would you mind saying that again?
Nope. I was just saying thank you to your leadership, Kate, and everything that you do for us.
It's quite a team, right? Together we can figure this out, and we need all of each other to do this great work. So thank you to everyone. Great to see so many wonderful, familiar faces, and we look forward to maybe the next one of these being face-to-face in a room with whiteboards. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.